Mitakiape, Avril Cordova, Machiape, Malakota and Taos Pueblo. My Thama is Joseph Cankilla Cordova. My Ina or my cause, Patricia Crow Cordova. I'm sixth generation from Chief Red Cloud. I'm the owner operator of AC and Associates. I'm a mother, daughter, community member, and your co-host for Return to Heart Foundation's Native American Heritage Month Warrior Women Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. It's been such an awesome ride, such an awesome journey. We wish you the best for the new year, and let's get on with the show. Thank you.
Uhagani. Hello, relatives. I am Gina Jackson, co-founder and CEO of the Return to the Heart Foundation. This week is our final week in our monthly series for Native American Heritage Month. And our theme is a theme that hits at the core of our existence, which is our resilience. Joy is our strength. Our joy is a prayer, it's protection, and it's a path forward for our people. Even in hardship, we remember that laughter and love keep our spirits alive. Julie, please take it away.
Thank you, Gina. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Hardesty, Operations and Program Manager at Calling All Crows. Joy connects us through music, story, and shared humanity. As we close this series, we celebrate the ways Indigenous leaders turn joy into a form of resistance and renewal. Joy is a powerful reminder that we are still here, thriving, creating, and loving. We hope tonight's conversation fills you with hope and gratitude.
I sing this song for the joy that sustains us, for the laughter that heals, and the light that we share when we gather as one.
Nimis, don't cry, you will find happiness again. Dry your tears, call a friend. Nimis, don't cry. Ay, oh, hey, oh, hey. Ay, oh, hi, oh, hey. Ay, oh, hey, oh, ay, oh, hey. Way, oh, ay, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Nimis, don't cry. You will find happiness again. Dry your tears, call a friend. Nimis, don't cry. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Way, oh, hi, oh, hey. Way, oh, hey, oh, I, oh, hey. Way, oh, I, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Nimis, don't cry. You will find happiness again. Dry your tears, call a friend. Nimis, don't cry. Ay, oh, hey, oh, hey. Ay, oh, hi, oh, hey. Ay, oh, hey, oh, hi, oh, hey. Ay, oh, hey, oh, I, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Nimis, don't cry. You will find happiness again. Dry your tears, call a friend. Nimis, don't cry. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
Welcome, Dyani, for Warrior Women Wednesday for the Return to the Heart Foundation. So happy that you're with us today and would love if you would introduce yourself to those who are watching and share a little bit about what's on your mind and what's on your heart today.
Oh, wonderful. Ha mitakiapi, wamble wiako ashtewi imatiapie, washitumie Dyani White Hawk Polk. Hello, friends and relatives. My name is Dyani White Hawk Polk. I am Sichangu Lakota through my mom and German and Welsh American through my dad. And I'm a visual artist based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I do a lot of different things, but my studio practice is really grounded in the practices of painting, beadwork, porcupine quill work, and Lakota art forms. I have a wide-ranging studio practice, though. My practice includes not only paintings and printmaking and two-dimensional art forms, but it also most recently includes sculptures and video installations, some photo installation. We've done a couple performance pieces. So the breadth of the practice is fairly expansive, including public artwork as well. We've done some pieces that are being incorporated into architectural projects, into airports, into public spaces. So some of the public artwork can be seen. There's a piece at the Cuno Mutual Building in Madison, Wisconsin. There is a piece at Fraser Hall, which is the brand new chemistry building built at the University of Minnesota and the Twin Cities location. And then we have work going into a brand new Terminal 6 that's being built for the JFK airport. And then we have work that will be going into the Portland airport, Portland, Oregon airport coming up. Both of those will open this coming February. So anybody traveling through those airports can see the work. And there's other potential public art projects coming up as well. So that's been a really fun new adventure within my practice to be able to branch out and think about how I might translate the works that I make in the studio into new modes of making that also incorporate opportunities for me to work with professionals in different fields. So I'm not a mosaicist, but I've been able to make these great big mosaic works in collaboration with mosaicists. I also have a piece that is on permanent install at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York City on the 8th floor. If you ever get to go to New York, you can visit it on the 8th floor in what's called the Studio Bar, which is like the restaurant cafe on the 8th floor. You know, it's been a long journey. I have been an artist and a maker since I was young. It's always been my favorite thing to do for as long as I can remember. And my mom has been really supportive of that over the years. You know, she really encouraged my making, and it was really through her encouragement over many years, you know, her telling me, you know, Dyani, you're an artist. And at first when I was young, I didn't believe it. I was just like, thought she was just being nice, you know, like, oh, thanks, Mom. It's always been my favorite thing to do. So I didn't even know or understand that the work that I do now as a full-time artist was something I could even dream towards. I learned that through the journey, through the process, but I was always just putting one foot in front of the other, following my passion, following the things that I love to do. You know, when I was young, I was just doing those things. You know, I was drawing, I was learning to do beadwork, I was learning photography. In high school, I was taking as many classes as I could. And then as an undergraduate, I went to Haskell Indian Nations University, got my associate's degree at Haskell, and they don't have an art department, but I took as many art classes as I could. And then I went to the Institute of American Indian Arts, and I got my bachelor's degree in fine art there. And then I went to graduate school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I got my MFA there. And everything has just been about like, just, you know, moving forward and figuring out how to, you know, continue to participate in this field that I love. I did curatorial work for 4 years postgraduate school. So I got to work at the All My Relations Gallery, which is a contemporary Native art gallery in Minneapolis, and run that space for 4 years and help sing the praises of other Native artists while I was doing that, which was a beautiful experience and learning journey for me. And then I transitioned into a full-time studio practice in 2015, and I've been doing that ever since. So I guess a couple of things that I'd like to share with you all is, I have really, I think, as an audience of Native women, it's important for people to hear that I have worked really hard to make the decisions that I make for my practice and for my life based in our value systems, based in what I've been taught and who I am as a Lakota woman, and our value systems as Lakota people, and all of my personal value systems and what's important to me, because those don't always align with the market, with academia, with the fields that we participate in the art field or in, capitalistic models. Like there's a lot of conflicting value systems to swim through, to figure out how to participate in ways that feel right to you. And I've worked really hard to make my decisions, guided by our value systems. And so an example of that is, there's 11 people that work here in the studio with me to help me create what we create, really large, ambitious works. One of the largest pieces that we did is a 8 feet by 14 foot fully beaded painting. And we've done a number of those. And they take many hands to do. But my studio family, my studio assistants consist predominantly of my family and my community members. And so my daughter works here, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, 2 nieces, one of my brother-in-law's and sister-in-law's cousin, another really dear friend of mine, his auntie and his niece and nephew work here. And then we have people from the Twin Cities arts community that work here. And so everything that I've done has been modeled after the ways that we might already have in our communities and how we support one another. So one way that I describe that when I'm talking to people in the art world is I might say to them, if they were to go to a powwow to see somebody's full regalia, chances are many people helped to bring that together. One person might, specialize in the beadwork. If it's a men's outfit, one person might make the bustle, another person might make the roach, another person might be, doing the sewing. If it's a woman's dress, one person might be the beadworker, one person might be the seamstress, one person might do the design, another might do the fill. You don't know, so there's different ways that we support each other, and then that comes together as a singular artistic vision, right? When it's danced in. And so I utilize those models within the studio as well. And I have an exhibition up right now at the Walker Art Center. It's a 15-year career survey. So 15 years of my work, all the way from the second year of graduate school up through today. And there's nearly 100 works in the exhibition. The title of the exhibition is Love Language, and it is guided by 4 central themes, which are see, honor, nurture, and celebrate. And we have really focused on making sure that exhibition feels really, really good for people, that it feels really nurturing, that it feels really welcoming. We designed all of the benches so that my mom could get on and off of them. I was like, if our elders can't sit down and get up, it's not good. So everything is higher, it has cushions, there's pillows, there's blankets. That are designed by me as well, and produced with collaboration in collaboration with Faribault Woolen Mill here in Minnesota. And we've just worked really hard to make sure that this exhibition feels like welcoming enough that you can stay and be in this space. It's not the kind of white box, cold art environment that sometimes modern or contemporary art can pose to people. It often feels exclusive, or it feels intimidating, or like a space that we have not been initiated into, or not been participants in helping to guide that. And we've worked really hard to make sure that that exhibition, I've told them as we were designing it, if it feels good for Native people, it's going to feel good for everybody. And so that's what we've done with that exhibition. So if anybody is in the Twin Cities area, It's up through February 15th, and I hope you get a chance to come visit it. And then after that, it will travel to the Ramey Modern, which is in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And the show was co-organized by the Ramey, the Walker Art Center and the Ramey Modern. And so Siri Engberg is the curator here at the Walker, and then Tara Hogue, who's an Indigenous curator at the Ramey, they both co-curated the exhibition. So, you know, it's also had leadership, you know, Indigenous leadership from the curatorial perspective as well. There's lots I could share about that, but I hope that you'll go check it out, and you can find information on my website as well, which is just my name, www.dyaniwhitehawk.com. So thank you for listening. I hope it's been beneficial, and I wish you all the best, and I'm grateful to have some time to share with you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, and we'll be following you into the future. Amazing things happening.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gina. It's good to see you.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Hi, Sutton. I'm so excited that you're here for Warrior Women Wednesday. This episode is focused on healing, and I know that you've been dedicating your life to healing of Indigenous people. So if you would share a little bit about your work and about yourself and anything that you're looking forward to, we would love to hear about it today.
Gina, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here with you today. I'll say Poso, Segoli, Sutton King, Naktau Pinuki, Nukyatungwahowe Ni'i, Wagneta, Nawagitalota, Onayota Aga Ni'i. So hello relatives. My English name is Sutton King. My Menominee name is Naktau Pianuki, which means comes first woman. I identify as Afro-Indigenous. I'm a descendant of both the Menominee and Oneida Nations of Wisconsin. I'm also African-American, and I'm also Irish. I am the co-founder and executive director of the Urban Indigenous Collective. And we are located and based in what we call Lenape-Hoking, or so-called Manhattan. And we do a lot of advocacy work. We do a lot of space sharing work, and really ensuring that the over 180,000 urban Indigenous peoples who reside here in the greater New York City have access to cultural programming, direct services. And this work is really grounded in our community-based participatory research work, as well as our advocacy work.
Amazing. And so within that, what kind of programs do you have, or what kind of specific events, or what kind of thing? Tell us more about what it looks like.
Absolutely. Well, UIC was started and founded in 2019. So 6 years ago, we actually just celebrated our 6th anniversary on Indigenous Peoples Day. And when we started, we were really looking to meet the need of our community and meet community where they're at. And what does that mean? Well, before we had any formal funding, not one single dollar, you know, I'd say that year, I always joke and say we had probably $1,000, and that was from my mother who donated, so that we were able to have a pop-up table and a pop-up tent, and we were able to print and develop something that was so valuable, that continues to guide us. And that was our community-based needs assessment through what we call our Community Health Forum project. And really what that was a quantitative survey paired with focus groups, really to ask our community, what is it that you are in need to be able to heal and live healthy lives, right? And so we took those materials out to what is known as Randall's Island here in New York City for Indigenous Peoples Day 6 years ago, to really sit down with our community and ask them, how can we be an unequivocal service to you? How do we meet you where you're at? And this really began this really roadmap on how we can support our community, as well as being able to sit down with community and listen to the stories, right? I think it's great to have surveys, but as we know, Indigenous peoples, we're storytellers, right? And Western world will call that qualitative research, but historically, we know that as storytelling, right? And so to really be able to get a comprehensive understanding of what are the health priorities here, right? And what we heard and what we read was we want access to safe, culturally tailored care for our mental health. We want to be able to have pathways to ceremony. We want to be able to sit down with Indigenous therapists so that we don't have to sit with a therapist who doesn't have a baseline understanding of our historical traumas, right? What we also heard is that we want a space for all Indigenous peoples, right? We want to really challenge maybe these colonial borders or blood quantum, these tools, these colonial policies that have been meant to either erase us or disconnect us from our relatives, right? And the last thing we heard many things, but some of the most important things we heard were that we are worried and we are concerned about the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, trans, and two-spirit crisis. And we want to be able to create safe spaces and advocacy around that. And so the first grant that we ever received was from Seven Generation Fund, which is an incredible fund out west. And they were able to get behind us in supporting our missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, trans, and two-spirit New York City program, really to be able to document the instances of violence that Indigenous peoples here in New York City are facing. I think that there is kind of this false narrative that's being perpetuated that these experiences of trafficking and violence of Indigenous women, of Indigenous bodies, are only happening on reservations, right? And we know that with over 70% of us now living in urban areas because of forced removal or the urban relocation program, right? That we are here too in the city, right? And so really being able to file a Freedom of Information Act request in over 115 jurisdictions, demanding the data of our relatives, being able to create a task force of survivors and family members who've been impacted by MMIP, right? And really ensuring that we are survivor-centered, right? That's really important to make sure that survivors are leading this work, survivors' voices and experiences are being centered. And also really making sure that there is a space for advocacy and direct action. So we hold the National Day of Awareness on May 5th every year, beginning in Central Park with a water prayer to really remind us what water means to us as women in this movement and taking care of ourselves. From there, we march to Columbus Circle, where we wrap him in red silk. Many of us understand that some of the first instances of sex trafficking were documented by Christopher Columbus and perpetuated against Taino women, right? And Taino girls, right? And so really ensuring that we understand where a lot of this trauma has begun, right? We have a vigil there. We have pictures of those who are no longer with us, who are missing or have been unalived. And then we take that walk to Times Square with our rattles, our drums, our songs to really push back on this cloak of invisibility that we're experiencing, right? We're going missing in the data, we're going missing in the media, and we're going missing in the physical, right? But our next step now, as we really build such a strong foundation in consultation and research, is to unequivocally get survivors support services. So we're preparing to launch our Indigenous Survivors Program to support Indigenous women, survivors, those who are two-spirit, with direct care. So individual therapy, talking circles supported by survivors, being led by survivors, right? Family therapy, because we know the harm goes beyond individual, right? Especially in the way that we think through our kinship systems, right? As well as being able to create that pathway back to the land, because we know what's happening to our bodies is happening to the land. And we know that when we heal with the land, that we're able to be held by the land. So our Held by the Land retreat that we've been having out in Shinnecock territory will be adapted for a survivors cohort to be able to support our survivors in being able to connect in the land, being able to center breath work, meditation, and to do an historical cold plunge, which is jumping into that ocean, right? Letting that ocean hold you. We're also being able to support pathways to sweat lodge, right? And being able to provide a kind of introductory to those who may not have had that connection to ceremony and to sweat lodge, right? And so really thinking through a comprehensive way of how do we support the healing, right? And understanding that we need to have those safety nets that can catch our community before we go missing, before we are unalived.
Wow, that is amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm so glad you're doing it. And there's not enough of those kinds of support services out there. It's so hard to, have a horrific experience and then not have the connection to others. But you're making that happen. So I just appreciate that
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Now,
you.
anything else that you're excited about, or how could people learn more about your program?
Absolutely. Something that we're really excited about is our up and coming 2026 Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, Trans, and Two-Spirit East Coast Summit, where we gather together policymakers, survivors, advocates, artists, right, to really be able to come together to teach one another about the work that is so important that we're all stewarding, right? Because our advocacy really can look a number of ways. And it's really important that we break down the silos of the work that we're doing and come to support one another so that we can do this in solidarity and we can do this in community. And so that is going to be our fourth annual. We're so excited to be able to continue stewarding this work. And so if folks are interested in getting involved, learning more about all of our different programming, because I touched on a little bit of our programming today, but there's so much more, please visit us at www.urbanindigenouscollective.org. Our handles on social media, are also at Urban Indigenous Collective. And so there you can learn more. You can go to our link tree to check out all the awesome programs, resources, as well as sign up for a newsletter to see what's going on. We have newsletters that are published monthly to keep community in the know about our programs, as well as different community organizations within New York City who are also Indigenous-led that are also doing incredible things, because we could not do this work alone, and it takes all of us.
Well, thank you so much. Big hugs. I love everything you're doing and just appreciate your voice and the encouragement. We hear so many bad stories oftentimes, but it's so important to lift up the good things that are happening, the solutions, the things that are bringing us towards healing. So thank you for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future.
Yes, Gina, thank you for all the work that you steward, and thank you for creating these safe spaces for us to be able to share our stories and the ways in which we're able to transmute perhaps our own pain into programming and advocacy. Thank you.
Hi, Madison and Dakota. Welcome to Warrior Women Wednesday. Today's episode on health and healing is an important episode, but it really brought to mind you guys, your program and what you're doing is so powerful and so important, especially to Native women and for girls. If you would please introduce yourselves and tell us about your important work. Tell us what's on your heart today.
So my name is Madison Esposito. I'm a member of the Berry Creek Rancheria of Maidu Indians of California. I'm currently in medical school. I'm in my fourth year, so about to graduate in May. Very exciting. And I'm going to go forward and pursue a career as a medical examiner. I hope to really change the face of medical legal death investigation throughout our country by being a medical examiner consulting on missing and murdered Indigenous people cases across the country. I specifically want to work for tribes directly so that justice is a little bit more accessible. I am the president of the board and co-founder for the nonprofit Redbud Resource Group. And we have a project called Seeing Our Native Patients, which is an intervention that's targeted towards medical providers from the Western medical system as a way to show them the strengths that exist within our communities that they can bring into their clinics in a respectful way to better support and heal our Native patients. So this is a multi-session program where we work directly with the medical providers. We talk to them about intergenerational trauma. We talk to them about different Native populations, and we talk about traditional medicine. We do this all with Native people at every step. We integrate traditional medicine practitioners that are already practicing in the community who are comfortable and feel safe with approaching this work with Western medical practitioners. And we work with community members that are already doing things in our community to help our health. We cover not only the terrible health outcomes that our communities struggle against because of colonization and the systematic genocide of our people. We talk about the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples crisis as a public health crisis, but we also make sure that we include the good things that we have, our strength, our community, our medicine, which comes from our people and access to our land. This is another thing we do at Redbud is we improve access to land for our communities. It's kind of a wraparound program, actually. And so that's what we're doing here. We're trying to give these clinicians real skills and real understanding so that when we come into these clinics, we feel safe, we feel seen, and we leave feeling healed. And this work could not have happened without the absolute constant support and the inspiration that I get from my colleague Dakota. And so I'll let Dakota introduce herself and the importance that she has to this work.
Tansei. My name is Cailean Dakota MacColl. I am part of the Lac La Ronge Indian Band in Saskatchewan, First Nations on Treaty 6 territory. And I am also a fourth-year medical student, graduating very soon with Maddie. And I applied to dermatology. And so part of my journey and process as a two-spirit person has been wanting people to feel comfortable in their skin and to really showcase like who we are as whole people. And being able to showcase that in a very genuine and kind of traditional way is a big goal of mine. And what's on my heart today, is my colleagues and my cousin. So my colleagues like Maddie and Katie Wilson, who are also working on this project, just endlessly inspire me to keep going and kind of facing these systems that, aren't built with us in mind. And so finding ways to really provide education and change that from within. I'm very honored to have had a small part of this project and seeing our Native patients. And I was very honored, Maddie can speak to this, but when she told me that she got this grant when we were at dinner, I ugly cried at the table over sushi because, they had let me know that they're going to dedicate this to my cousin Megan Gallagher, who unfortunately had gone missing in 2020 and her body was found in 2022, right before our my first like final exam in medical school. And so having that be such a close part of, my medical school journey, and having to go home to grieve in the middle of that, but then come back to a community that was so helpful in healing, and was able to kind of hold me and hold her story and support my journey in healing and in educating others, has meant the absolute world to me. And now that we're almost done with this journey, I still really do feel like a lot of us are just truly getting started in this work. And I can't wait to see all the amazing things that, Maddie and Katie and all of our Native colleagues are going to do within medicine and outside of it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait either. Now, if folks who are listening today want to learn more about your programs and what you do, any resources, how can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Redbud has a website. It's redbudresourcegroup.org. We also have an Instagram by the same name. And that's kind of it for right now. The website has all of our resources on it, including our curriculum. We not only do the continued medical education curriculum, but we also do K through 12 curriculum. During the COVID pandemic, my cousin and I were on the phone talking about what was going on across the country and what was going on in our community. I was finishing up a master's in public health at Harvard, and she was in her 8th year of teaching middle schoolers. So we're sitting on the phone talking about it, talking about what we're seeing. She's seeing the complete erasure of Native people in her curriculum, and I'm seeing the complete erasure of Native people in public health. I'm in these classes at an Ivy League level school where I look up at the charts at what we're being shown to learn about health disparities in all communities, and what's always missing is Native people. The only mention of Native people in these classes were when I brought it up. I hope the school is different at this point, but at the time that I was there, that's what it was like. And so we saw this as an opportunity to make a curriculum where Native students could see themselves in a positive way constantly. And so that's where the K through 12 curriculums came from. Those are all free, fully available on the website. If you're an educator, go and download them. We have full teaching guides. We have a book actually called Seeing Our Native Students, which is kind of the first iteration of Seeing Our Native Patients. That's a full teaching guide on how to do this work in your classroom. From there, we went on to Going Beyond Land Acknowledgements, which is a environmental justice intervention where we work with non-Native groups that have access to land, and we teach them how to work with Native communities that surround them to return the land if possible, or at least allow better access and better tending of the land through traditional means. We also have other programs called Right Relations and Restoring Right Relations, where we work with Native people to improve their professional development and uplift them in their own kind of interventions that they see as necessary in their communities.
It's amazing what you're doing. And I am so grateful that you're offering this to community to be able to share. I mean, so I live in a very small town. Actually, Pyramid Lake is right behind me. I live in a border town right next to the reservation. And it's surprising how even in this small community next to the reservation of how much ignorance there is, just period. And so what you're doing is making a difference. It's making changes. I just appreciate you both and thank you for coming today. Any final last words?
Yeah, please come and check out the website, check out Redbud Resource Group, see what we're doing, see if it's something you want to bring into your communities. If you're inspired by the work, interact with us on social media. And thank you so much for having us here. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you both so much. Hi, Dr. Crystal Lee. Welcome to Warrior Women Wednesday. We're so happy to have you today and to come and introduce yourself and share about your organization and about your really important work around health and healing, specifically for Native women.
Hi, Gina. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate being here with you this morning. So I'm going to introduce myself in my language. I am from the Dene Nation, and Crystal Dr. Lee Inishia. Not to the net touching initially. Now, Nate Ejatam Baham Bashichin, Senjikina Dashichain, Kintochi Indashanele, Tiso, Arizona, A Day Nasha. Hi, everyone. I'm originally from the Navajo Nation. From a very small community called Tisto, Arizona, born and raised in my homeland there, and call myself a bona fide res girl, if you will. So about the organization, I'm really excited to talk about it, which is called United Natives. And I like to give our birth story of how our organization started and evolved to what we do now. By academic training, I'm an infectious disease research doctor that specializes in preventative medicine. And I am a scientist and faculty at University of New Mexico in the College of Population Health. So when COVID started in 2020, I was really eager to assist tribes in the space of COVID and COVID prevention because that's my academic training. And we did a lot of grassroots public health efforts using United Natives as our catalyst to be able to assist tribes with quarantining, with PPE dissemination. So for 2020, we quarantined over 3,000 Natives in a 300-room hotel. And we did all the medical triage, and we delivered over $3 million of PPE products to over 128 tribal communities in the Southwest predominantly. And it was through these efforts, these grassroots efforts, that we really got to work hand in hand with community. And a lot of our relatives were going through so much trauma, so much depression, as the whole world was, but it especially hit our Native communities. And so my thought was United Natives was only going to be around during the time of COVID. Then I was going to go back full time to my academic career. But the need for mental health and behavioral health was right in my face, and I couldn't walk away from it. So what we ended up doing was starting to cater in the space of mental behavioral health. And we evolved. At first, it was in person in Arizona, our services, but we wanted a broader reach. We didn't want it just to be in a very specific geographic location. So we decided, hey, why not turn it into a tele mental health program? We can have a national reach and provide free tele mental health services to all those who need it and break down those barriers. So state by state, we slowly evolved, thanks to our executive director, Tanel John, and I'm the CEO of United Natives. So together, we implemented this effort, and we're in 26 states and counting. What does that mean? That means that we offer free telemental health services plus 2 mental health assessments to every individual that we can, providing that we do have the grant funding to do so. And so our goal is to get into all 50 states, and our goal is to raise so much money that we have enough money to help everybody who needs help, which is our end goal.
That's amazing. So if somebody wants to learn more about this particular program, how do they find out?
Yes, they can go to unitednatives.org, and it should have all our contact information there, our email, and a way to contact us. And we welcome everyone, and we're just excited and just would love to help as much as we can. And we especially target Native women who are going through a domestic situation or any type of abuse that they may have encountered, whether it's physical, emotional. We really gravitate and help our Native women as well. And also with our missing and murdered Indigenous relatives epidemic that is ongoing, we also are prioritizing helping the victims and or their families if they need further support in this space as well.
That is so amazing because there are so few resources specifically like yours. And if folks want to contact you, what's the best way?
Yes, you may email me at drcrystal@unitednatives.org. So that's CRYSTAL. Or you just go to our website and reach out. You may also follow us on Instagram. United_Natives INC is our Instagram. We have a lot of cool events that we do as well. So we would love for anyone to attend and participate in any of our events. We host a huge sports gala that you attended last year, Gina. And we'll be looking forward to Super Bowl 2026, which will be in San Francisco for our gala again. We host our Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Seminar in Las Vegas every October during INFR time. And so please visit us and see what other events that you may be able to participate in.
Thank you so much for sharing with everyone today. I appreciate you and hope you have a wonderful week.
You too, Gina. Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
What a beautiful way to end this month's Warrior Women Wednesdays. Thank you so much for all of our guests, not just this week, but for all the guests this whole month, for showing us the importance of our Indigenous leadership, that joy is our medicine, and that thriving is revolutionary. May we carry this joy into our homes and our work. Keep shining, keep rising, and keep loving. That's the Warrior Woman way. Thank you for joining us.